Hello! Welcome to episode 33 of Last Stitch Effort. My name is Pacasha, and this is my knitting podcast or vlog, whatever you want to call it, about using up my yarn stash right here behind me. So sorry, my chair's a bit squeaky, and I've got stuff all around me, so I'll be bending down quite a bit, but yeah. Anyway, hi! I hope you're having a great day. It's my birthday week, so I thought I would get this filmed quickly, and I busted ass really hard on a project last night, so I guess I shouldn't start with a finished object. I'm super excited. Like, the reason I'm recording is because I'm excited to finish this project, but I guess I should give you my numbers first. Really, that's how we start. Oh, and what I'm wearing. Oh shoot. So this dress is the Hinterland by Liberated. And the fabric I got literally the week before New Mexico shut down for COVID. Are we allowed to say that online anymore? Like, for a while we weren't allowed to say it, it seemed like. But anyway, so that's this dress, and I'll stand up and kind of show you some fabric. Sorry, I'm really short and I have my ring light up higher and tripod, whatever. But so that's the dress that I'm wearing. And then the sock that I'm wearing, I don't remember, shoot, I have it written down. This is Dragon Pox by Naughty Gnome. It'll be linked below. I don't know if you can see it, maybe, okay. This is not gonna help. Anyway, this yarn is Drops Fabel. And I think the color is mustard or some number. But anyway, it's this really cool design. And the socks are mirrored, so the other sock kind of starts on the inside and kind of curls out like that. Not curls. Biases or whatever out that way. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about socks later on, and I'll talk more about this sock then. But right now I'm going to put it back on my foot because that's weird. Anyway, so I'm wearing those socks, and actually I'm going to show you just while I have it out. So they have like a garter stitch heel, and I don't do that very often. Usually I do, well, a different kind of heel, but it's a really cool sock. Like, it's, once again, I'll talk about it later, but I just wanted to show you that, like, while I can. Anyway, that's what I'm wearing. So let me give you some numbers and we'll move on to the actual knitting stuff. Okay. Sorry, excuse the craziness. We all know that's how it goes though, right? Okay, so with my finished project, which was a lot of knitting for not a lot of grams out of this mess, but it was still 263 grams. That's good, right? And my total is 48,898 grams. I still have 295 listings in Ravelry, so it didn't use up any yarns, but we'll get there. I'll get to it in just a second. So that's the equivalent of 977, actually, it's 0.9, so we'll just say 978 balls in my yarn stash still. So yay, that's forward progress, and now I will show you what I finished. So, oh shoot. Okay, let me explain. We got new windows, all new windows in our house yesterday, and they're not quite done. They have to come back and do like the, I don't know, was it called sashing or whatever, the sills or whatever still, but yeah, so everything is like messed up in our house. Things are like moved everywhere. There's messes everywhere. There was broken glass everywhere. It was an ordeal. So yeah, so I'm kind of having, like, this table's in a different spot because it was blocking the window, and the light's different because the windows are vastly different from previous crap that was on our walls. Okay, anyway, I finished my Clint Shawl. Now, it's not blocked and the ends aren't woven in because seriously, this was last night me hustling to finish this. So look, these are the ends. Oh, look at all, oh, look at that. On the other side, I was able to catch those inside of the I-cord. Or actually, I did with those magic knots, and then I knitted, yeah, anyway. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It's done. I just need to weave in the ends and block it, and then I'm going to block it first and then I'll weave in the ends just to kind of settle the fibers. I am getting so many texts on my phone right now and I'm recording. It's kind of funny. Oh, Lord. Anyway, it's so pretty. I love it. So this is the Clint Shawl by Natasja Hornby. Okay, I need to get to some actual information instead of being distracted. This yarn is Younger Yarn, which was my old dyeing business. This is my Shire String, and the colorway is Potatoes, because everything in Shire String was based on Lord of the Rings colorways, and I absolutely love Sam and Gollum. And yeah, everybody knows that scene if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. So, okay, and then the light color is Orange Flower Yarns Parsnip, the Flora Sock. The navy is just Knit Picks Stroll, leftovers from another pair of socks. The pink is Knit Picks Twill in Rosewater Heather. And yeah, I used 263, was it, grams of yarn. So that's significant. It's not huge, but I'm hoping it'll block out a little bit bigger. I did change the bottom edging. It did have a knitted on lace border, and she instructs that you go down a needle size and stuff, and I tried that. I tried it with 2 other needle sizes, and it just was a little too wavy. I was insisting on using more of this color on the bottom, just because I wanted it to be the same color as on the top. And this Tweedy yarn kind of affects gauge just slightly, but I guess it was enough that it was, you know, affecting that. So I decided to just do the I-cord just like on the top, and I like it. I mean, I do love a good lace edging, so that's kind of sad because I need to do some lace. I feel like it's like my fingers are itching for it, but this worked out just fine. Yeah. Anyway, I finished it. I'm so excited. It's so pretty, and oh, it's just lovely. And so I do have leftovers. Well, I have leftovers of everything, but this cream color and the pink I'm using in another project, which I'll talk about in a bit, and I've talked about it before if you are returning. But I do have the Shire String and the navy left over, and I am thinking about doing, where am I going to put everything? Everything is different. I'm thinking about doing a pair of Porch Light socks by Lindsay Fowler from 52 Weeks of Socks. I've done a pair of those before, and I think I'll do the Shire String as the main color and the navy as the little kind of texture detail on the cuff. And I'm going to talk about socks later, and I will actually show you that pattern because I've knit it one time before, and I'll show you that in a second. So I'm getting so many texts. It's hilarious. Nobody ever talks to me. Then I'm recording and I get all these texts, and it's great. It's warming my heart. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Let's do works in progress. So I talked about the leftovers from the shawl going into this project, and so I'll just go ahead and talk about it. I have, oh gosh, I feel like this is going to be a disaster. And it doesn't help that I'm kind of having like this crazy energetic energy. So smart. This is why you come here, to learn these amazing terms that you never knew you needed. Anyway, this is Woolen Pines Seaglass. It's attached to this box of yarn. So these are my leftovers, and these are some that my friend sent home with me. And yeah, so I've got like tons of yarn still to use. I just needed a few more just to kind of mix things up so that it was this isn't going to work very well. Okay, let's try this. Okay, we're doing some balancing here. Anyway, I've shown this before. I haven't actually worked on it since you saw it last. I don't know which is the front and back. Oh. Okay, so this is my Seaglass. It's a pullover. It will be a little bit cropped. I still have like a few inches on this sleeve, the body, and I've barely even looked at this sleeve. So once again, it's in the same place that it's been for a while, but now that I have some more colors to kind of, I don't know, revive it, infuse it with some more choice, then that will probably be my next FO. That's the plan anyway. Okay, next one. So my amazing friends and I are doing a bit of a knit along, and we're doing Andrea Mowry's Shift cowl. And I was able to pick up a kit. I talked about Spin Cycle a little bit on the last episode, that it's not a yarn that I'm that familiar with, mainly because I'm a spinner, and so I make that kind of yarn essentially. But they had these kits at this really cool yarn store in Santa Fe that I like to go to, and called Hacer, and I will link that below too, because that's where I got this fabric too, and yarn to make a shawl for this that matches this, but I still haven't made the shawl. So anyway, this is Spin Cycle Dyed in the Wool, Ghost Ranch, Salty Dog, and Wild Horses. And this is my, oh, I'm in the middle of a row too. I was watching a scary movie last night while I was knitting this. It was like right after I'd finished the Clint, and I was like trying to like decompress the fact that I just like actually finished the bind off, the I-cord bind off, which takes a long time. And so I'm like, well, I still have time before I'm going to go to bed. Let's watch a horror movie, absolutely disgusting horror movie, and knit this thing. And then stop in the middle of the road because I got too disgusted by the movie. I'm not even going to mention it here. But anyway, I don't even like horror movies. What am I doing? That's all I'm watching lately. Psychological torture. So this is it. I'm on section 4. I just started the bigger blips of section 4. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of gold. It's going to match my dress really well because it's got that teal and it's got some pink in it, and there's pink and teal in this. So that'll work out really nicely. And my two friends are Alicia and Emily are way ahead of Alicia's finished. Emily might be finished too. That might be the text that I'm getting. So she's finished. But anyway, it will happen. This should probably be my next FO, but I really, really want to get that sweater done, the Seaglass. So, all right. Moving on. Sorry, it's going to creak a little bit and I'm going to go out of frame, which I don't know why that's such a problem for people. I mean, this is a free podcast. Like, kind of get what you pay for. And I just fell off. Okay. Some interesting energy today. Okay, the next project, let's just talk about my socks next. So I always carry around a pair of socks, just kind of a simple pair, because it's easy for me. I don't have to really think about it much. This is a hedgehog fiber sock in anemone, and it's blowing out. It's very, very neon orange, and I'm making a pair of socks. They were for my friend Emily's boys, but I'm going to make 2 pairs. 2 pair? But actually I cast on the wrong number, so these are going to be for a slightly larger kid. And I was on the heel last time I talked to you, and now I'm ready to decrease. If I have the size correct, I hope I do. I am using the Tin Can Knits, is it the Rye socks? Whatever their grain collection free pattern is. I'm using their numbers to get the right size and circumference and stuff. So yeah, so this is the first sock. Like, not a whole lot to see here, but that's kind of my travel project. And I need to actually do the decreases on that because then I can finish up and take the next sock to the movies when I go see Beetlejuice. Are you excited for that? I have like waited since I was, what, 10 years old? 11, 12, 10? Yeah, to watch Beetlejuice. Ever since Beetlejuice came out. Anyway. So now you know how old I am. 46 in 2 days. That just seems crazy to me, but I'm not like scared of getting old. I think it's great to get old. Okay, next project. Let's just move on from that. Oh, and then I wanted to say, this really cute bag is, I use it a lot. I've talked about it before. It's Matterroot, Maine. And they do really nice drawstring bags. They have really cool, like, fancier bags, but I have a drawstring. So, here, let's put that down there. Okay. The next project, this is a bucket bag that I got from my local quilting shop, and it's by Moda Fabrics. And they make these really cool, sturdy canvas buckets, which I've talked about that before too. And I have 2 knitting friends that I meet with a lot, and we all have them. So it's kind of a fun time. We all get together with our buckets. So this is the framed pullover by Andrea Mowry, once again. And I am using, once again, I don't know how I get this lucky, but my friend Alicia gave me this beautiful Dream State spin cycle yarns. So I'm using this, and this is Rosy Maple. And my contrasting color is Premier Yarns Stitch Please. The color is All Bats Are Off. And I'm just doing a 2-color one because that's what I like, and I like low contrast color work. And Alicia will get really mad at me because this is on needles that are way too short. So it's all scrunched up, and yeah, it will smooth out. I know it will smooth out with blocking. I've talked about this before too, but it's just kind of frustrating at this point. Even if I had it on a bigger circumference, what are these called? Cable, it would still be doing this, but I'm not too worried. So I am getting close to where the pattern says to start the sleeves, except I think I'm going to add another half a repeat of the chart. Because I have a lot of breast tissue, and so I need a little bit more coverage. It needs to be a little bit longer, although I do still want it to be a shorter sweater because I intend on wearing it with like a dress like this, that's belted at the, like, or, you know, tied at the waist, and yeah, I want it to hit like right where that goes in. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm not that far along, but further than I was last week. And hopefully I'll have the top. Oh, my goal is to have the top sections, like, and then maybe starting the sleeves next time I talk to you. That would be good progress, but oof. Okay. We made it through works in progress. Now, I was afraid that I wouldn't have a whole lot to talk about because they are the same projects. I'm not a monogamous knitter, but I do like to have a few projects, and that's all of them. Like, you've seen everything that I'm working on. So I don't like to have a whole lot going on. So it can get kind of boring, especially with the bigger projects. That's why I was so glad to finish the Clint Shawl, to get one of those bigger ones out of the way so I can bust through some of these things and go back to having 2 projects instead of 100. Just kidding, I don't have 100. Anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about though was some of my favorite knitting patterns, knitting sock patterns, and sock yarns, and also kind of show you some of the wear and tear that some of these socks have gone through. Like, the socks that I just showed you that I'm wearing right now, I made those in 2017. I'm going to grab my notes from down here because I actually did take a lot of notes and wrote down a lot of information here. Yeah, so that pair of socks was from the Magical Melodies collection, which is a Harry Potter collection that Naughty Gnome did. I think it's Naughty Gnome. It's Naughty Gnome or Nitty Gnome. I do follow her on Instagram, and anyway, I'll have her information below, but it's a collection of 4 socks, and I did all of the pairs. Like, I think it's kind of rare when a collection comes out and you knit everything, but I did all of them. They're all asymmetrical, like mirrored socks. They're all fantastic. They fit well. I gave 2 away. This one I kept, and 1 I did in a sock yarn that did not hold up very well. So, and it was Knit, I'll just say it. It was Knit Picks Glimmer. They just got really fuzzy. I have a hard time with their stroll base kind of getting fuzzy and gross, even though I don't put my socks in the dryer or anything. They just haven't held up very well, and I find that kind of across the board with stroll. If it's something that is getting washed a lot, like I have it in my shawl, which isn't going to get a whole lot of wash and wear. Plus, if it's a little bit fuzzy in a couple of places on a shawl, that's way different than, pardon me, a patterned sock that gets a lot of wear and tear and gets washed often. So anyway, but that's that pair of socks, and that I highly recommend that collection of socks. They were fantastic to knit. They fit very well, and I really enjoyed them. So, but I wanted to pull out my main, I guess, I don't know, motivation was to pull out my oldest pair of socks and show you why they're still around, give you the merits and, any information I can give you that may help you have a successful pair of socks, or maybe we can just commiserate about, I don't know, whatever, nitpick stroll. Okay, let me put this down. Let me find the first pair, my oldest pair, which I didn't realize were my oldest pair because there were 2. There was another one that I thought was older, but after I looked it up in Ravelry, I was wrong. So this first pair I made in 2009, and they are still going strong, and I still wear them quite often. This is a yarn base that I used to carry. I called it sock string, and the equivalent is kind of like a Fabel, or it might have been like an Ashford base. It's just a super sturdy base, but not like uncomfortable sturdy. So this pattern is Patroshka by Kaua Coffee. I'm not sure. It's a free pattern, and it's got all of these slip stitch Bavarian cables, if you will. I'm going to take it off and show you the fronts because I think that's a little easier to see. Anyway, so this base, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't even know if I could still get it in an undyed form or whatever. And I think what's successful about these socks is the base is really good. It's not super soft. It doesn't have like merino in it. And the stitch pattern is twisted stitches, which I know a lot of people have a hard time knitting those because they can be kind of annoying, I guess. I don't find them annoying. I have done them enough that it just kind of, sometimes when I'm doing ribbing, I accidentally do twisted rib. That's how much I enjoy doing it. I think it makes a really sturdy, the ribbing doesn't flare. It has more like, I don't know what it would be called, but it like bounces back into the position, into a tighter position. And I think that's super important for socks, especially because I don't know about you, but throughout the day, I feel like my socks can get kind of baggy depending on certain things. But number one, this is a sturdier actual sheep wool. and number 2 is the twisted ribs, Bavarian cables, whatever you want to call it. A lot of my favorite socks have twisted ribbing either in the cuff. I mean, even just that cuff stays up so much better than a regular ribbed cuff, in my opinion. So that's the first pair. And that pattern is free, and it is super, like, it looks complicated, but it was quite fun to do. And I think I did it in like 10 days or something like that. It was something crazy. So yeah, they were a fun pair. But also I want to show you how I fold my socks. So I put them, it's very Marie Kondo. Oh, and the pattern is on the back too. Okay. So I put them like, I fold them where the tops are on top. And then I fold in the cuff part. Then I fold in the toe part, and then I just tuck it in. And then this is the trick. Like once it's in like that, then I kind of squish that rib back together so it doesn't stretch out the rib at the top. And then they're all in a drawer like this, so I just see this part. And they're all in that drawer. They look really nice, I think. Little type A of me, probably. Okay, so that's the first oldest pair. Ah, don't fall. Okay, the next pair I have is from 2010, and this is Tans in Mai. I will have that written below. And it's by Stephanie van der Linden, who has made lots of amazing sock patterns. And once again, we're going to have some twisted ribbing and very sturdy sock yarn. Now this sock yarn is once again a discontinued one by Elan, which I think was a Canadian company. And I don't remember the color of this. I think it just had numbers or something, or Oasis or something. I don't know. And it's just such a cool design, but it's those twisted ribs. They make all the difference in a sock that keeps its shape and doesn't get sloppy. And I mean, I have worn these a lot and washed these a lot, and I think they still look really good. And there's very little wear. I don't even think you could, it doesn't even look felted. Maybe on the heel a bit. Yeah, on the heel there looks like there's a bit of felting, but not much for a very old pair of socks. 14 years, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so this is a very similar sock yarn to that first one I said, and don't worry, I'll tell you some ones that you can actually still get that are good. Anyway, that's a free pattern on Ravelry, and that one is a super fun and interesting knit too, and I think they were pretty quick to knit. It's just such a cool pattern, isn't it? Okay. There's that. Let's see, what should I do? What's next? I don't know what the next oldest would be. I'm just picking the ones that I wear like a lot, so you can see. This is a pair that it's a very basic pair. There's no pattern to it. This is using Shopple Wool, Zauberball, Crazy, and Flesbut, I think, or Flusbut, or I don't know. It's like something about autumn. Anyway, I wanted to show you these I made. Did I write it down? I know I wrote it down. Surely I wrote it down. Yeah, these are 2013, so they're pretty old. And I have worn these so much. And they do have pilling, but not bad. And it's just a standard, I mean, these are like the most basic socks you could do. I think the heel flap and I think the toe were from a Mina Phillip pattern, and I'll talk about that in a bit too. So, yeah. So they've held up really well, and I wear them a ton and wash them a ton, and you can get that yarn, and I find that you can get quite a substantial pair of socks from one ball of this and have leftovers for, you know, fun little color work to add to things. Because, I mean, that's just fun, isn't it? Like, you gotta love it. Zauberball's awesome. Okay. So there's that pair, and that's held up, and you can still get the yarn. What should we talk about next? These are probably my favorite socks. Like almost the second that they're washed, I have them on again. This is called the Crummy Raven socks. I didn't write down the designer. It is €3, so that's about $3.50 in US dollars. And once again, I'll have all of this listed below. I'm not going to have actual links to Ravelry because I know some people have issue with that, but I'll have all the information so that you can find it if you need to, if you want to. So this is Fildar Feel Sock 50, which is a discontinued yarn, but it's very similar to Drops Fabel or even Opal, just one of those sturdy yarns. And then this yellow is leftovers from that pair that I'm wearing right now, that I think it's Fabel and Mustard, and this is another Fildar Feel Sock 50 in a darker color. And so just a little bit of color work on that leg. I did change the heel to where I decrease along the bottom of the foot instead of at that gusset right there. I just find that that makes a bias, and it's on my heel very well. This yarn has held up really well too, even though it's discontinued. It's not that old. You might be able to find some, or you'll find something equivalent to it. Just those ones that a lot of hand dyers use, that's kind of, I don't like, no, that's not going to show it. Where you can see the plies and they're kind of a bouncier ply, those don't tend to hold up as well, in my opinion, as like just the tighter, boring, super thin, not as bouncy looking yarns. But anyway, yeah, so I wear these all the time. They're like some of my favorite socks. I do like ravens a lot. That has a lot to do with it, and I plan on doing another pair of those. Ever since I finished this pair, I knew I wanted at least one more pair. But I do have a lot of socks, like a whole, almost 2 drawers full of socks. And I do give away a lot of socks too. So I've made a lot of socks. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I did normal ribbing. Like, they're just very boring socks, but they're pretty. I like them. And the yarn is good enough that you don't really necessarily need a stitch pattern to make it durable, because the yarn holds together really well and doesn't, not merino. Use merino for sweaters or whatever, but maybe not for socks. Okay, this next pair is a pair I wear a ton, and I finished them last year on vacation. The day I finished these and wore these, I fell and broke my ankle. But that hasn't stopped me. I'm not a superstitious person. Little stitches. But anyway, this is Linares Barefoot in the colorway Baggins. So I was in New Zealand, so I had to knit with Lord of the Rings. Well, yeah, yarn. Anyway, so this pattern is from a book, one of my favorite knitting books. It is called, it's Nancy Bush's Knitting Vintage Socks. I'll hold it up in just a second. I have to fold my socks again. Anyway, it's just a very basic pattern. You can probably find it elsewhere, to be honest, for free. But this yarn base is really nice. It's holding up nicely, and it's a hand dyed, so they might be kind of a bigger hand dyeing business, but it hasn't faded. And I know sometimes if it's a smaller company at home, this is why I stopped dyeing. The chemicals in my water were affecting my dyes, and we are in a perpetual drought. and it is a very water intensive thing, at least for me. In our household, we're not allowed to have a lot of water, so yeah, that's why I stopped dyeing. That's one of the reasons. But anyway, so anyway, a lot of those, like the smaller companies, like if their dye, I don't want to use this as an excuse because there's also just poor dyeing practices, but it does affect how the dye adheres to the wool. Like we have pretty chemically, not chem, there's a lot of calcium in our water, and I don't know if that affects it, but it kind of seemed to be to me, and we need to save our water. That's what I'm getting at. Anyway, these colors have held up really, really well, and I like the stitch pattern. It was fun to knit. Yeah, just pretty socks. I wear those a lot, and they've been washed a lot, but they're only like a year old. But anyway, so I mentioned I had some sock yarn leftovers from my oh wait, let me show you the book first. This is the Nancy Bush book, Knitting Vintage Socks. And it's just a nice spiral bound book, and there's like lots of really interesting historical sock patterns. There's some notes that I made. Yeah, just some interesting patterns. So if you ever come across those really old like Weldon's needlework guides or whatever, Nancy Bush is an amazing knitting historian, and she's kind of modernized or updated the patterns so that we can knit them. And so that's where that pattern has come from. And that's that. The next pair of socks. Okay, I'm gonna remake this, not remake. I'm gonna make another pair using my leftovers, the Shire String and the navy. The Shire String is going to be the main color. The navy is going to be this detail. And this is Lindsay Fowler's Porch Light Socks from 52 Weeks of Socks. I don't have the dust cover. It was annoying. But, I mean, I guess I could. I don't know if I can show you. I don't know if it'll open directly to it because I love this book, but I haven't used it much. Kind of a bummer. Yeah, I'm not going to find it in here. But anyway, it's in here. You can also buy it separately, I believe. But this is a fantastic bargain if you're really into making socks. There's a bunch of different kinds, color work, texture patterns, sizes, whatever. Even some slippers. Ooh, that was scary. Okay. So I'm going to make another pair of Porch Light socks, and that is because I love my first pair so much. And this is made out of Knit Picks Hawthorne, which is not my favorite sock yarn. But this pairs really well. It's holding up, okay, you know. And I think I think there was like different, whatever. I did my heel decreases along the bottom like I usually do. I probably followed the pattern on the toe decreases. It's probably pretty close to what's going on except for the heel, because sometimes if I'm away from the pattern and I'm just knitting, I just do what is in my brain already. And then these are just like little leftovers from some other pair, and they have like little baubles on them or noops, but it looks like the other ones just kind of felted into oblivion. I don't know if my boots rub up against them or anything, but anyway, I'm going to be making another pair of these out of those leftovers. So I have a matching pair of socks to go with my shawl, which I'm very matchy-matchy about a lot of things. And so I do have some other things that I wanted to talk about sock-wise. I already talked about the Magical Maladies collection, but there were a few other collections or designers that I just wanted to mention. And also some sock yarn. So I think I love hand-dyed stuff, and I will always support hand dyers no matter what. Like, that's fine. I don't care if they don't wear as well. They're fun to knit and they're fun to wear, and maybe they fade a little bit, or maybe they wear out, but they're loved until they are worn out. So I will always support smaller dyers and yarn bases that maybe aren't the most durable. However, if you would like a durable pair of socks, Drops Fabel is one of my top ones. Opal, any of the opal sock yarns are very durable and last a long time. And especially, I think the idea of buying $30 for sock yarn to make one pair of socks just seemed kind of obscene to me once upon a time. And then I don't know what made it okay eventually, but once it did, I mean, the time that I got knitting it was of value, and these socks have lasted a long time, a lot longer than some commercial yarns that or commercial socks, like just whatever from Walmart or whatever. They've lasted longer and looked better through multiple wears and washes. So it's, to me, it's not that much of an expense long term. However, if funds are tight, these are just some ones that you're going to get the most bang for your buck, especially the Drops Fabel. If you can find a place stateside that sells it, that's great. I usually wait until I need to place like a bigger order and just get them from the UK, because that's just the cheapest and easiest way that I can get it. And like, I'll just show you. I recently got some more of this because it's just such a good, like, sturdy whatever. I actually like wear my socks. These aren't just like pretty things I put on sometimes. I wear them all the time, no matter what I'm doing. If I'm walking like 3 miles a day, I can wear these socks. If I'm lounging around the house, I can wear these socks. Like, these aren't just put them on for bedtime type thing. These are all day, wearing them all the time socks. So, oh, this is, if you come across this is that Fildar Fill Folk 50. So if you come across this, either get it or let me know, because this is like fantastic yarn, and I imagine that those socks are going to last me, who knows, the next 46 years of my life. Anyway, this is knit Picks Twill, and while it's super soft, I just don't think it holds up. So anyway, if you would like to knit socks, you're concerned about durability, get a commercial sock yarn. It'll last a long time. If you really just need some really pretty socks and you don't care about that thing, don't worry about it. It's fine. You're still going to get a much better sock than you would just buying, off the rack. Is that the right thing for socks? Anyway, not off the rack. Well, I guess they are off the rack. Okay, so some sock, like, pattern designers that I really like. So I mentioned Naughty Gnome. That's fantastic. She's only, I think, done those 4 socks, maybe more, but those are the 4 that I've knit, and they were great. My number one designer that I go to again and again and again for very basic socks is the Knitting Expat, which is Mina Phillip, and I will have her below. But she has several sock collections. She has Beyond Vanilla Part 1 and 2 and New York collection, and I have knit every single sock from all 3 of those collections, and they are fabulous. She also has a pair called Layla, named after her oldest daughter, and those are some of my favorite socks. They are so beautiful. Yeah, fantastic. They are hands down my go-to socks. Like, if I'm just, yeah, they're fantastic socks. They're very basic. You don't have to take a huge pattern around with you. Once you do a repeat, you know it. I use her toe decrease on every sock that I've made since I knit her socks for the first time. They're just fantastic things, and I mean, she has a lot of really good instructions in the patterns, and they're worth every penny. So I highly recommend, especially those 3 collections. She does have other patterns, and she has some really nice shawl patterns too, like just little simple ones. I don't know, I like knits that look that are just easy. They don't really have to think about like something other than just boring, flat knitting. Something with a little bit of texture to it, and so that's what these are. And her shawls are like that too. Everything she does is really good. Another one of my favorites is Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears. I've made several pairs of her socks. My favorite from her is the Prairie socks, and they're very, very simple stitch pattern. You don't really have to think about it much. You just stick it in there and it looks good, and it looks good with speckled yarns. That's another thing. Same thing with the Mina is if you have like a yarn that's not just a flat color, sometimes those patterns can get lost. So I like a really basic, simple pattern. So Prairie Socks is a pattern that I like to use with speckles or, slightly variegated. And she has several other really good patterns also. Sorry, I just saw a stain. So it's hard having cats sometimes. Yeah, okay. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's pretty gross. So another one of my favorite designers is Olivia Villarreal. She is This Handmade Life, and she has a lot of inexpensive or free socks. She has like, some sales every now and then, but once again, her patterns are super simple. The patterns are beautiful. She has like this calming presence. If you don't follow her on Instagram, like she's obviously, a lifestyle, influencer, but in such a nice and simple and humble way. Anyway, I really enjoy her patterns. I've made several of those, and they are worth every penny as well. And they're never that expensive. And then another one I like that I've made several socks from is Helen Stewart. And she has like a sock society, or I don't know, she has clubs every now and then, and they're all beautiful. They are a lot more involved stitch patterns. However, the way Helen Stewart writes her patterns, it is so easy to follow. Like there's options to do like essentially row by row instructions, so she can hold your hand through things if you're a newer knitter and maybe unsure, especially with socks, because socks aren't hard, but they can be kind of tricky. So she has some really good like instructions, and she's also really good giving you like percentages of yarn usage, so you can do yarn management. Like if say you don't have quite a full ball of yarn, you know how much yarn you need to finish your socks. Like she gives you really, really good information throughout her patterns. And same thing with her shawls and other patterns. She just has a fantastic formula for writing her patterns, and they are worth every penny as well. So hopefully that gives you some information. So I have some free patterns listed, and I have some paid for patterns that I think are worth every penny. And fantastic designers, fantastic yarns. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a little bit more information so it's not just crazy me going off the rails at the end of every episode. And also because I know my projects can be a bit monotonous when they're large and there's only a few. So hope that helps. And if you have wanted to knit socks and you haven't yet, I highly encourage you to pick an easy pattern. Maybe even if the thought of a pattern, like an actual like patterned sock, intimidates you, just go for a simple one like the Tin Can Knits. Are they rye, flax? I think flax is a sweater. Whatever they are. Yeah, that's just a simple sock. And maybe make a pair of baby socks first, just so you get that technique. Because once you learn how to turn a heel, once you do that magic, your life changes. Your life as a knitter changes, I feel. Either you love it or you hate it, but I don't know. I love it. I think knitting socks is fantastic. And I will always, always have a pair of socks on the needles. So that says a lot. And if you have a pair of my socks and you are in my life, it means that you are a loved person. And if you don't, well, you may be getting a pair. So yeah, because I'm never going to stop knitting them. Anyway, I don't think I have anything else to say. So with that, I'm going to go take off and answer all of my texts that I've been getting. And apparently go see Beetlejuice because I'm pretty excited. My daughter is drum major this year and she is doing her first football game tonight. So we're excited about that. Our poor little football team, um, they had another home game last week, but we had some flooding warnings, and so they had to move it to an out of town game. And our school district can't really afford to do that very much, so our school's really suffering with all of these fires and flooding uh, procedures that we have to deal with. So anyway, so this is not the first football game, but this is the first time she will get to conduct in a public setting besides just a pep rally, and I think she's a bit nervous, but I'm super excited for her, and I know she loves band. So, and I love band, and hey, that's it. Just excited about it. It's gonna be a great day. Great day. And I have new windows. So, yay, everything's great. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great weekend. I will talk to you in a week or two, probably 2 weeks, because I want to get some of these bigger projects done to show you. And that's it. You guys take care. Love you. Bye.